Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Don't become Nazis! Don't become Nazis!
Your orders are correct.
Fascism! Shame! Shame! What are you doing then? Shame!
Committed assault. You invite. This is assault.
Move back! Move back! Move back! Move back!
I was on public property.
And then their kids are gonna grow up and remember them!
They threw the Charter of Rights out the window. And we're not vandalizing stuff or burning stuff or anything like that, or mom and pop place, whereas these buggers do, and they get away with it.
Stay back or you will be arrested! We stand on death! Protest is over. Time to leave the area. Go for lockdown! Freedom! 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 Liberty! Freedom! Freedom! What about our charter right to protest?
They were just doing their job. Don't do those kinds of things. Have a conscience.
Say no, thank you.
You have no lawful reason to arrest that man! You have no lawful reason to arrest that man!
Come on, fuck it! This is the building I'll get for is fine, you asshole! This is disgusting.
Toronto police arresting protesters in Dundas Square.
What the fuck
You guys arresting him for?
Why can't you just let me
What are you
go?
arresting him for?
Why can't you just let me go?
Your hand,
I'm
son.
standing on a sidewalk! I'm eating my breakfast!
Let go of your hand.
What's the reason? Alright, let go of me, sir!
Let go.
You just broke the fucking law!
He has the right to take
I got bad shoulders! I have bad shoulders! I have bad shoulders!
This is not right. Who's recording? Who's recording?
I'm recording.
This is disgusting.
This is disgusting. How can you guys do this? It's disgusting, man. How do you guys live with yourself? I know he is. I know they are.
You guys are disgusting. Wait until your rights are taken away.
I don't want you to be part of the arrest.
What the hell? I can't even eat breakfast.
Want to put your glasses back on?
I have Tourette syndrome, and I have to medicate. I have bad shoulders as well.
You want to put your glasses back on?
Well, David Menzies for Rebel News here at Yonge-Dundas Square. And it looks like this might be the beginning of the end for Yahoo Nation. The police and security have been moving in, and there's an individual there that has been tackled. And I guess they are really clamping down. They're making good on their threat. The Toronto Police Service tweeted out today, the COVID-19 pandemic is not just a public health issue, it is a public safety issue. The emergency orders are clear. Gatherings of more than 5 people are not permitted. Participating in large gatherings, including protests, is not just in contravention of these orders, but also puts attendees and the broader community at risk. What's interesting is this part about including protests. We saw in the summer that not only were the police not breaking up huge protest gatherings of Black Lives Matter, but were actually taking part in those protests. So I'm just wondering what the rules are here. If it's a protest for racial injustice, I guess. The Wuhan virus is very socially aware and will not infect those people. But if it's an anti-lockdown protest, The Wuhan virus takes a very dim view on that. And finally, in that tweet, when these events happen, police will be present and prepared to respond appropriately. I wonder what the word appropriately means. Does it mean, well, we saw what happened in November with Adam Skelly, didn't we, at Adamson Barbecue? Remember how the mounted unit was dispatched?
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Get back!
You guys are... Shame on you!
Small business! Small business! Small business!
And not to be outdone, Mayor John Tory tweeted, "Stay home, full stop." He's taking a dim view on these gatherings too. He didn't take such a dim view though on Finance Minister Rod Phillips going to St. Bart's. He said, "Oh, come on, he's a nice guy. I guess they go to the same country club." So as you can see, the double standards, the hypocrisy continues to mount. I think this is a depressing day, a distressing day. It is Toronto's and Ontario's continued decline into a police state. And I'm not blaming the individual police officers here, folks. They have a job to do. I'm blaming their political masters who themselves espouse a double standard when it comes to not staying at home. In any event, we'll see how this day goes.
You under the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, Regulation 821, to disperse immediately.
So, Robert, earlier on, just a few minutes ago, I saw you tackled by police. What led to that?
I was standing there eating my breakfast, minding my business, so keeping my socialism distancing of 6 feet. Before there was even a gathering of any time of anywhere this size, next thing I know, I have a group of police officers come out of nowhere and just tackle me to the ground of at least 5 officers on each arm. And I'm telling the officers I had bad shoulders,
But what did they say to you? What was the reason for pinpointing you out of the group?
Right when I was pulling up on my handy bicycle, coming down the street of Yonge, I asked the officers and I told them, I was like, "Officers, hello, I back the blue. You mind if you tell me, is this where the anti-lockdown protest is taking place?" And the officer replied and said, "Yes, it is. But if you go, you're going to be getting a ticket."
What exactly are you trying to enforce? You know what we have emergency of? Drug overdose deaths. We have emergency of suicide deaths. We have emergency of dying from not able to get proper health care. For cancer, for heart disease, for anything else.
Well, we've just noticed some reinforcements coming in. A few minutes ago, the police did announce an order to disperse. Nobody left the square, so I'm wondering if we're ending up with a showdown. Don't see the mounted unit yet. That's when you know things are really getting serious, but hopefully this is going to end peacefully, but it is a significant police presence here today at Yonge-Dundas Square.
I was educated in law enforcement. I was told that there's no laws that supersede our charter because God gives us our human rights. Our human rights come from God, not done for.
Hello, sir. I'm reading your sign. It says, "Police, we call on you to resist orders from a tyrannical government." It sure doesn't feel like an open and free democracy in the public square today, does it?
The atmosphere has definitely changed. We've been doing this for months, and there's it's always been peaceful, but there's a different crowd of police in here today. Definitely, you can see the tension. You can see either it's a show of force or I don't know what's going on. We shall see.
Well, how do you think this day is going to unwind, sir? The police a few minutes ago gave people a 2-minute warning to disperse. They're still clearly here, but do you think it's only a matter of time before we see another Adamson Barbecue crackdown?
Hopefully not. I mean, we've come here for a peaceful protest. I'm just here I'm exercising, to be honest. I just brought a sign with me to, just exercise.
Well, we know you can't go to the gym anymore.
Exactly. So, I'm getting some fresh air, which is free, and hanging out.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, I'm reading your toque. end the lockdown, let me live free. How free do you feel today here at Yonge-Dundas Square?
I don't feel free at all because look at all the police officers here. This is martial law, whether they want to call it that or not. It's a violation of our charter rights and freedoms. And we're allowed to gather and we're allowed to basically protest unjust, if you want to call them laws, against us.
You know, earlier today, sir, the Toronto Police Service tweeted out that gatherings over 5 will not be tolerated. That includes protests. But do you find it, I guess, perversely ironic that in the summer we had Black Lives Matter protests that weren't dispersed?
Silent, disengage. You have the right to remain silent. Turn around and walk away. Do not speak to them. These officers are committing assault on innocent civilians. Officers, do your duty.
You tell me, I'm listening to me and you're just... Don't touch me. I'm pressed, don't touch me. I know.
6 feet away, sir. 6 feet away! 6 feet away! Sir, 6 feet away!
I'm just recording. Being peacefully recording. Look, my friend, I can't even see him from here. It's not okay. Don't talk to me like that. Why can't I record? Tell me why can't I go record? I'm doing nothing. They're touching me, pushing me. I just want to record. Now you're pushing me. From me. Look, look, Rebel News. These guys are protecting their officers from my camera. That's what's going on. I can't see from here.
Well, luckily I interviewed that individual with the sign expressing concerns about political tyranny because talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy. He has been rounded up. He looks like he's being arrested. I don't understand why. Maybe they're cherry-picking the people that have signs before they go after other people. I see my cameraman Mocha being surrounded by police too. Well, it's odd. They seem to be giving the media a bit of a hard time. Not that there's much media here today, even though less than 100 meters away there's City TV, but I guess there's nothing here for them to see. And so it's very curious, the strategy being employed. I'm just trying to figure out who gets rounded up and who gets a pass. And well, we're here for as long as this protest continues. Stay tuned, folks.
We are not going to leave. We are within our rights to be here. Your Section 1 holds no precedence over the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. If you arrest me, you are committing a crime. Do you understand?
Arrest the pedophiles!
Do you understand? I am not under arrest. I do not consent. I am... No, I do not. No. No. If you touch me, it's assault. If you touch me, you are committing assault. You are invited. This is assault.
Stand up for what is right!
What we've seen in this country since November 26 in front of Adamson's is unfortunately the death of Canada as we know it. We have China now, we have tyrannical government, we have no freedoms, you have no freedom of expression, you have no freedom of religion, and today you have no freedom to peacefully assemble. I repeat, we have no more freedoms to peacefully assemble. The constitution of this country today is done.
Are you suggesting that various levels of government of all political stripes are exploiting the pandemic to clamp down on our freedoms?
Every single politician who's not speaking against what's taking place today here is an accomplice to crimes against humanity, is an accomplice to the death of his country. And shame on every single politician that's not going to express complete disgust with what's taking place here today, with complete abuse of the power.
And certainly John Tory, he tweeted out today, stay home, full stop, and yet he goes to bat for his buddies like Rod Phillips, that went vacationing in St. Bart's. What do you make of that double standard?
This is exactly what happens in tyrannical government. The government tells you what you're not allowed to do, and they do whatever they want. And guess what? Our taxpayers' money pay for anything that they want to do. And we are not allowed to work. We're not allowed to come together. We're not allowed to live a healthy, active lifestyle. They just want us sick, dependable, obedient slaves. And we're not going to stand for that.
Well, I don't know if this is the plan of the police in terms of dispersing the crowd from Yonge and Dundas, but as you can see, folks, several hundred of the demonstrators are indeed marching up Yonge Street, and traffic has been shut down. And where they're going to end up, well, let's just see what happens.
No more lockdown! No more lockdown! Freedom! Freedom!
Well, folks, the police are giving the marchers an escort up Yonge Street. We're almost at Wellesley. It's kind of like deja vu. On December 20th, we had the unofficial Santa Claus parade. Many of these people were involved with that, and they also got a police escort, but there's a different vibe here without Santa Claus being part of this. It's kind of like that line from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when Narnia was under control of the witch, which was Welcome to Toronto, where it's always winter and never Christmas. It's just coming up for 2 o'clock, and the marchers have gone up Yonge Street along Bloor, and it looks like the final destination is 1 Bedford, and that's a significant address. This is the residence of Mayor John Tory. He's somewhere up there, presumably in the penthouse, looking down with his wife Barbara. And I can tell you there's a considerable police presence here, and maybe there will be a showdown happening. We're here to find out how this pans out in the minutes and hours ahead. Well, folks, the protest has moved from John Tory's condominium to Queen's Park. We're in front of the Ontario Legislature, and it's funny what a couple of years does in terms of political support. I think if we turn back the clock in 2018, most of these people would have voted for the Doug Ford Progressive Conservative Party. That was, of course, the case until Doug turned on his own base going back to last year when he called these folks
a bunch of yahoos.
They have since embraced Yahoo Nation. If the late, great Rob Ford was still alive, I wonder what he would have to say. Latest destination for this mobile anti-lockdown parade, and it is 52 Division. They were chanting some things about the policing, and it wasn't very nice, but hey, the police, kudos to them. They're actually allowing these people to protest, and really that's all you can ask for in this day and age where our civil liberties and our freedoms are increasingly being clamped down upon. Well, the latest destination for the anti-lockdown protest march is right here in front of Bell Media Studios. That's home to the likes of CP24, CTV, and so on. There have been many chants of fake news of the people that are here. And funny enough, nobody here is coming out to cover this. Why is it that the mainstream media is suddenly so shy right now? Golly, knock me over with a feather. Well, folks, it's just after 4 o'clock, and the protesters have marched back to Yonge-Dundas Square. Now, as soon as they started to approach the square, several police officers formed a perimeter. It looks like they're not going to permit them on the square, and I suppose it's only a matter of time before these protesters get tired and cold and hungry and disperse on their own accord. What appears to be happening right now at Yonge-Dundas Square is the police are moving closer and closer to the protesters who are on the sidewalk. They're asking for identification, and if they don't provide identification, they are being arrested with obstruction. I've seen about 4 or 5 arrests so far.
Fascists! You are fascists! Fascism! Why are you doing this?
Oh, and there's another arrest happening right now. It's a lady.
Do not interfere. Do not interfere. You will face arrest. Do not interfere. You will face arrest. Please disperse from this area. Please disperse from the area.
Move back. Oh, sorry. I'm not a protester. I'm a media outlet now.
I know.
Okay, back up, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Can you help us? We need you guys to go.
They're not under my command. I'm just here to cover this.
Maybe you can stand up on this thing a little bit further, get a higher.
Okay, thank you.
What are you guys doing? You came here, you arrested people, you pushed people into a corner, and now you're telling them they're not good enough to stand in Dundas Square, they gotta stand on a sidewalk. And we literally have a line dividing law enforcement and civilians. We're all part of the same community. Your friends and family have businesses that are closed. Your kids are going to the same schools. You're being forced to wear the masks. I don't understand what you're doing here. Look around. Look around. Look around. These are your people that support you. People that love you. And you're roughing them up. You're giving us tickets. You're treating us like cattle. It's absolutely disgusting. What are you going to go home and tell your family? I was a big man. I tackled a woman today and I arrested her. I took a little old lady and gave her a ticket. I grabbed a street preacher.
Mocha. Well, folks, I'm with Matthew Haley. He was arrested just about 25 minutes ago at Yonge-Dundas Square. First of all, sir, why did the police go after you? I mean, there were so many other people there. What was it about you that triggered them to arrest you?
I simply stood my ground, stating that I was on not private property but public property, openly to the crowd that I was here under Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And when approached by the police, I simply declined offers to contract, which escalated them to start poking. They said they were going to arrest me. I said, if so, it will be done so under duress because I decline offers to contract, to which they started forcefully, abruptly applying force, took me down to the ground. I made at least the statements I have mental health and continued to decline offers to contract, and from there it was cuffs, forcefully putting down. They took me over to the side and just kept declining offers to contract, said that I comprehend, I do not understand, and I was released with a ticket, better yet, that has just Yonge and Dundas but no formal address. So that one's already out of court.
What was the ticket for, sir?
Was for obstruction.
And how much, was there a dollar amount on the ticket?
Take a look at the ticket. I haven't really taken much of a summary. My ribs are killing me. I already was earlier on standing in front of the music table, was picked up by an officer and dropped. I was trampled there. There is live footage on my Facebook of that happening. And this would be the second occurrence of police using excessive force on myself. And after camping in the defund movements to ask them to reform the idea of defund to reform funding, and actually having success fighting for all these people in those movements, and this is the treatment I get. So we have a failed to comply. It wasn't even an obstruction. There does not seem, set fine is $750 to someone who has been struggling to get out of the poverty gap for quite some time, simply for exercising my true rights and freedoms under, I don't even know what this country is anymore.
I'm sorry about the ticket. I'm sorry about your ribs. It looks like you're in a bit of pain, sir. But I mean, what is your assessment of what we saw go down here today? We've been here since around 11 in the morning, and it went from, I guess, the police giving the demonstrators an escort up Yonge Street to this arbitrary process of reclaiming the city square, arresting certain individuals such as yourself. What exactly did we witness here?
I believe at the core we've witnessed that police have forgotten that discretionary power they hold when they let someone who is speeding go for the right reasons. Many tickets were not written right before the legalization of marijuana. We are watching that being taken advantage of by a few, basically sending officers in. I personally was asked to leave the square earlier, and I required the officer to show me proof for the Trespass Act, and it has gone so far that the ownership of Yonge-Dundas has actually formally empowered the police to do the Trespass Act for their discretion and their reasons. So essentially we are slowly seeing laws not required for police to make action.
One last question, sir. What do you think is going to happen next Saturday? Yonge-Dundas Square has been the site for several weeks in a row of these anti-lockdown demonstrators. Do you think they'll be back, and will you be back?
I definitely won't be going anywhere. I camped for 120 days across the province for mental health. Didn't go home. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. They've enacted my squat mode. I will be exercising my rights until something breaks here. What's going to happen on Saturday? I don't know. My hopes are that we stay peaceful and we do not call for extreme action, but we peacefully stand our ground in solidarity as movements have done decades before us.
Good luck with your injuries, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, folks, the protesters, the demonstrators, have been pushed from the square to the sidewalk, across the street to the west side of Yonge-Dundas, and this wall of police officers is continuing to walk west. And I'm not sure what we're supposed to do. I guess they want people to go home, as in get in an Uber or a subway and leave. But inch by inch, they are indeed clearing this square. What do you think we just saw here today? First of all, it began as a demonstration here. The police reclaimed the square. Then they gave you an escort up Yonge Street.
No, they didn't
escort
us.
They did? No.
They did not escort us. They chased us up Yonge Street.
Yes. Okay, then. And then they started getting handsy with certain people, arresting them.
They rough-handled quite a few people.
A couple of old ladies
7
too.
cops to take one lady away. And I was told one girl was punched in the head as well when the cops took her down. She was only probably a woman my size. That's Gestapo.
So the big question is, next week, I don't know if there'll be another Yonge-Dundas Square. Are you coming back?
Definitely.
We're coming back. This is the beginning of communism over here, because this is bull. Pardon my language, but you're standing on a sidewalk. 2 people watching are okay, but the 2 people over there who are protecting their rights and freedoms, they get smashed to the ground. That's communism. We'll be here.
Yeah. So was this a dark day for Toronto, do you think, when it comes to freedom?
Definitely. They threw the Charter of Rights out the window.
It's the G20.
No, you're right. It's very reminiscent of the G20 some 11 years ago, right?
I was there for it. I saw what those buggers did. they're just they're letting all the violent people do their stuff, going after the peaceful people. Kind of like what they do with Antifa and Black Lives Matters. Let them go about their crap. But no, peaceful people like us are getting arrested. And we're not vandalizing stuff or burning stuff or anything like that, or mom and pop place, whereas these buggers do, and they get away with it.
Hell, that's a good point. I mean, when you looked at the summer, there was Black Lives Matter protests. Those weren't forced to disperse. In fact, you saw law enforcement taking part in the protests. So how do you square that?
You know what?
Dave, not only that, but they also the chief kneeled before Black Lives Matter. He kneeled to those buggers.
They took a knee for them, and here they put us on our knees, okay? Because John Tory just spent $100,000 to disperse law-abiding citizens, okay? That's a waste of taxpayer money. Everyone should be angry, okay? And I don't know who those cops were dressed in black, but they weren't here to help us or protect us. They were here to smash us to the ground.
Well, if you're here next week, we'll make sure we're here next week. Okay.
We'll be here, Rebel. Thank you very much for being here.
Are you sick and tired of being told by governments and bureaucrats to keep your business closed? Well, if so, please reach out to us at iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com. Tell us your story, and I'll make sure the whole world knows about it.